Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello there, welcome along. It's Monday, it's the Racing Post Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of my colleagues Nick Watts and Lewis Porteous, as well as Paddy Power's Paul Binfield, we're going to review a fascinating weekend that promised much and delivered even more. We're also going to look ahead to another great weekend. These fabulous high-profile Saturdays just keep coming. This time it's Tingle Creek, Douvan versus Fox Norton. We've also got a chance for you to win another £25 or €25 free bet from Paddy Power, and we'll hopefully fill your Racing Post horse tracker up with a load of hot horses that should prove profitable to pay in the coming weeks and months. So we're right bang into the jump season now. I thought the weekend clues were absolutely superb. First of all, Nick Watts, just overall, like I say, it was a weekend that we had high hopes for, and there was a lot of very interesting action there, wasn't there?
It delivered on every count, didn't it? I think you needed eyes in the back of your head to be able to take full toll of it all. It wasn't just the Irish stuff yesterday, 2 days at Newbury, which is fantastic. Some really interesting stuff at Newcastle as well, not just the champion hurdle trial, the fighting fifth, but also the great race for the rehearsal too.
Well, that was extraordinary, wasn't it? I mean, that really was. We'll come on to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, how the jockey stayed on there is incredible. A profitable weekend, Lewis?
No, I was down at Newbury working, so played it quite straight. But
do you never mix betting and working?
I don't. It doesn't really mix with me. I focus on one or the other, but I tell you, Newbury put on a great show.
Did they? Was decent crowd?
Good crowd there, and new sponsor, and they needed to get off on a flyer, and I think they did. It was the big race really delivered.
And they seem to. I mean, the PR team at Ladbrokes, I think they seem to do a fair bit there, didn't they? They've really got behind this, haven't they? Of course, the poor sods are going to be. It's going to be called the Hennessy forevermore, but I think they did a fair job, didn't they? And it looked like a decent crowd.
Yeah, they really got behind it. It's a fair play to them. They're on a bit of a hiding to nothing, trying to take on the Hennessy, but it's the same. The name's changed, but the essence is there. It's still a great stay and chase, and what a spectacle it was.
It certainly felt, Binners, like an old-fashioned Hennessy, and its new guys as the Ladbrokes, didn't it? A great stirring outcome as ever. Two really decent winners. Two really decent horses battling out for the result. Would you rather, from a company point of view, Whispered repelled Total Recall?
If you've got a Willie Mullins trained favourite in one of these big races, Bruce, you're obviously going to go with the runner-up. But hey, listen, it was a great race. Total Recall stayed on so well, and actually, the lads have already said it, but well done to Julian Fick and the team at Newbury for putting on a brilliant 2-day winter festival.
Excellent, good stuff. And what's that done, that result? Total Recall, like I say, just getting up on the line to nab poor old Whisper, who really is all guts, isn't he? They were well clear of the rest. Have they entered the Gold Cup picture in a big way? Give us your latest show, Binners.
Well, we put Total Recall in at 25 to 1, Bruce. I was seeing your newspaper today that it looks more like he's going to be a Grand National horse, but he might run in the Gold Cup and finish 4th or 5th or something like that. But at the front end, we've still got York Hill at 6 to 1, and it's 7 Mike White and Sizing John, 10 Douvan, and 12 Bar.
And if anyone wants to back Total Recall for the Nash, what price will you be able to give them?
Well, for the National, one moment here, Bruce. Total Recall for that is 20 to 1. He was 25 to 1 before, and I would imagine your story had some sort of impact on that.
Okie dokes. Right then, Nick, what did you make of the Ladbrokes Trophy in terms of what we might learn from it going forward, as they say?
Maybe not so much in Gold Cup terms. I think Whisper's an admirable horse. He might well have improved from his novice season. But you just remember back to last year when he was trading around behind Mike Bite at Aintree. He'll probably need to improve again, I would think. And I'd say the same for the winner. The winner won very well, won very nicely. He fought really hard when I thought Whisper had the advantage over the last two. Just seemed to get away from the last two cleaner than Total Recall. So to battle back and get past him was some performance. I really like him for the National. I think he could run a big race in that. I was really impressed with how he got into a good rhythm. He was held up by Paul Town, and it's not easy to be held up in a race like that when there's so many runners in front of you and things happening left, right and centre. He travelled like a really class horse. You could see at the cross fence he was going very nicely. If he can do similar stuff in the National, he's a big player. As for the Gold Cup, it's interesting just quickly that the same owners have got Acapella Bourgeois with Willie Mullins. If he's done this with Total Recall, I know Acapella didn't go off to the best of starts in the Troy Town the other day when he fell early, but I'm still really interested to see what he could do, because whatever Total Recall's done, he might be that bit better.
Lewis, with Whisper and Total Recall finishing well ahead of the others, it's tempting to say that, they must be really good. Is there half a chance, though, that this race actually won't be worth that much in terms of forward form for the elite staying chases? Or do you think these two are going to, be there and thereabouts?
I thought the cream came to the top. I thought the right two horses went off. You had Whisper rated 161, chasing home My Bite last year, solid form, and then you've got the improver Total Recall. It's going to be interesting now to see the handicapper's reaction, and if he goes for a plumps in, say, the mid-150s, what does Mullins do? Does he sort of play a waiting game now to the National, maybe prep him over hurdles and aim at that? They probably don't want to show the hand too much more. I'd probably be tempted to do that if I were them, because off say 155, that would give him about 11 stone 5 in the National based on recent years. He'd be competitive off that. The thing about him is he hit the line so hard, and he could even be better over an extreme trip like the like the National. So he's got to be a live National player. And as for Whisper, trying to give him a stone off 161, blimey, that puts him bang in the sort of Gold Cup picture. I'm not saying he's going to win one, but you take Sizing John out of it and you take Mike Bite out of it, third place is all to go for. He'll be 9 next year. They've got to treat him as a Gold Cup horse and go for maybe the Cotswold Chase, prep there. I
think the thing is, isn't it, with a horse like Whisper, that if you look at the anti-post list that Ben has just read out, if they all get there, then he's going to, possibly struggle to make the frame. But that horses are going to fall by the wayside, unfortunately. So we'll just have to see what happens. Benners, was there anything that you saw maybe further back down the Ladbroke Trophy field that you might think's interesting?
Not really, Bruce. I do think Whisper ran an almighty race in defeat. It might prove, giving that Total Recall a stone, that might look really good in the future. But unfortunate for Nicky Henderson that he won that race at the graduation race, getting the extra £4, because if he hadn't done that, you never know, he might have won.
Ah, well, there you go. Right then, 1 word or 2 word answer if the horse has got 2 words. Who are you backing for the Gold Cup right now? Nick Watts?
Might Bite.
Lewis?
Might Bite.
And Binners?
Native River.
Okay, right. We move on to the rest of the Newbury weekend. As you say, 2 fantastic days. Really, really enjoyed it. Great to see the ITV cameras there on Friday, wasn't it? And they certainly captured some good action. Let's talk about Friday. First of all, Willoughby Court and Yanworth. Lewis, what will they go on to achieve this season?
At this stage, I think Willoughby Court will be the JLT winner. I absolutely love the horse. He's got the form at Cheltenham. He can inject that pace in the midsection and keep it going, and he gets other horses out of their comfort zone. I really like him. I was at Huntingdon when he made his debut. Crikey. He tried to take every fence with him. He was jumping out to the left. Couldn't have him. He was a different horse going left-handed round Newbury. I think he's a class act. I think if he was trained by maybe a Mullins or someone, he'd be shorter for the JLT, and it's shaping up to be a hot race. Finian's and Death Duty. It could be a cracking race, but I really like Willoughby Court, and crucially, like I say, he's done it around Cheltenham.
Nick, let's talk about Yanworth. I mean, I rather sort of nastily, because he's a lovely horse, I've got him down as one of the more overrated beasts. I just think that he's got we're always leading on him, and it's probably our fault as much as anything. I'm just not sure he's quite as good as his kind of profile, suggests. Am I wrong there? Is there still a real top-level chaser in him?
Yeah, I'd be a bit more forgiving you with Bruce, definitely. He hasn't been an immediate hit over fences, but it takes some horses longer than others to completely get the hang of it. I thought he did nothing wrong the first time when he won. Didn't do much wrong the second time. It's just one of those silly little novice falls. And the interesting thing about this race, I think it was 4 out, the first one in the straight. Barry Geraghty's asked him for a big jump, which would have put him right in contention, and the horse was put down. He lost a few lengths, and he was never going to get it back after that. But still, what did he run? Would it be caught to 3 lengths, 4 lengths, something like that?
A couple, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, to even harry him up the running shows, I think he's got a massive engine. I would persevere with him over fences. I read on Twitter a lot afterwards, put him back over hurdles, go for the stayers.
They're good, those trainers on Twitter, aren't they? They know absolutely everything, don't they?
I think it's worth... I would persevere with him. I think as Lewis said, the JLT is shaping up to be a really, really hot race. I'd be tempted to stick him over 3 miles. Allows him a bit more time to get into a rhythm, which I think is important for this horse. He does stay the trip. He won the Grade 1 at Aintree over that kind of distance. So for me, if you're looking at the spring festivals, he's much more RSA horse than he is a JLT. And yeah, he'd be a player because, like I said, I'm more forgiving than most, and I think he'll get there. It'll just take him longer to do it.
Have you got any JLT betting? As Lewis says, Binners, it's shaping up to be a cracker at this early stage, isn't it?
Yeah, punters disagree with Nick, Bruce. Willoughby Court after the race, we went 12 from 16 for the JLT, and he's been absolutely smashed since then. He's now 13-2 third favourite, with Finian's Oscar and Deaf Jury at the front of the market on 6s, and then it's 12 Yanworth and 14 Bar. But there was no mean feat beating Yanworth like that, was it, Bruce?
No, absolutely not. No, it was a good effort. Right then, let's talk about Thistlecrack. Obviously, it was really lovely to see Beer Goggles win it. I mean, that's what jump racing's all about, isn't it? Small yard like that, nabbing the big prize like that. But for Harry and Thistlecrack, a few questions to be asked. Binners, perhaps you've got a view on those two horses and how their seasons might elapse.
Yeah, I think we've got to give Thistlecrack another go, Bruce. He'd been off the track for 10 months. Colin Tizard said he thought he looked a bit burly before the race. Obviously, it was very disappointing that he didn't go and win, but he was still there 2 out, wasn't he? Tanking like a good one. And Beer Goggles, you'd have to think that one will probably end up in the World Hurdle or something like that.
Absolutely. Okay, Lewis, any thoughts on Thistlecrack? What's he going to achieve this season?
I don't know. I thought people were a little bit derogatory, saying he's completely gone at the game. I think that's crazy. I think, like I say, there was a lot of exuberance there. There was a lot of enthusiasm, and he literally blew up. I'm not saying
literally blow up, did it?
No, but he
figuratively blew up.
Capitulating. It was very quickly. But I'm not saying I'd back him for the King George, but crikey, I'd definitely give him another chance, yeah.
But I mean, Nick, surely that King George now, I mean, it's looming, isn't it? It's kind of 3 or 4 weeks away. I mean, surely, it'd be the greatest training achievement of all time, wouldn't it?
It would be. I'd agree with Lewis, and I certainly wouldn't give up on the horse, but I think he might just need a bit more time. Like you said, I think the King George is coming around very, very fast, and he gave a big heave in home straight in Ascot at Newbury and weakened. I think he'll be better still when he gets to the Cotswold Chase that he just lost out to Many Clouds last season. And maybe if he went to the Denman Chase at Newbury in February, I think that's when you see him back to his best. Because as Colin Tizard rightly said afterwards, he did have that injury. He did have like a few months out in the field. He did have to be built up. This was a stepping stone. I certainly wouldn't be giving up on him. But that said, I wouldn't back him for the King George. I'd still have him in the back of my mind for targets a bit later on.
Okay, anything else from those fascinating 2 days at Newbury? High Bridge, Elegant Escape, any other horses you want to discuss, Nick?
Well, it was a really good winner of the last. If anyone had stayed around for that, there was a handicap chase and Harry Fry's Overtown Express absolutely spread eagled them. He won very, very comfortably indeed, probably over 10 lengths, I would think. He's definitely one to put in the tracker. I think he'll follow up.
It was weird, wasn't it? Because he just went away from them. I mean, jockey barely had to move, did he?
No, absolutely. It was very impressive. How high he can go, I don't know, but I'd certainly have him on my radar for next time.
Okay, Lewis, anything else catch your eagle eye?
Yeah, for Fountains Windfall, who fell in the Elegant Escape race 3 out, I still thought he had a bit more to offer. The 2 of them were still travelling just about within themselves, and I thought he's a little bit unlucky. He jumped the ditch before, big and bold. He tried to do the same at just the plain fence and came down too steep. Anthony Honeyball, good trainer, knows what he's got, and Fountains Windfall, I wouldn't give up on him yet.
Who's the horse, and the name escapes me, that Mitch Bastian rode on Saturday?
On tour.
On tour. I mean, how far would he have won that race? Oh, I think he's one to keep an eye on. So he's also quite an interesting one from an in-play perspective, because he gets himself tailed off and he looks like he's struggling, but he's a really interesting contender here. Ben, is there anything else for you from Newbury that you thought we should mention?
Well, you mentioned that High Bridge, Bruce. I thought Alex Ferguson, for an amateur, gave that a great ride. Ben Pauling had a superb weekend with this horse and Willoughby Court, of course. And good Alex Ferguson, his biggest winner ever, and his first one for 278 days, and the horse did it well to make all at Newbury, which is no easy task, and I think he'll go well in the Bet Bear Hurdle if they go down that route.
Okay, let's go across to Newcastle then. Obviously, you know, the high-profile event was the Fighting Fifth, and Bouverdere didn't disappoint. I think we said on the Postcast on Friday that he might win comfortably, but under the kind of distance quotes, because Barry Geraghty's never won to win further than he needs to. That seemed to be the case. So are we looking? Is there anything in the champion hurdle apart from Fahine and Bouverdere, Nick, you think that can actually? All right, obviously others can win, but you know it's kind of developing into a match, isn't it?
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the race a month, 6 weeks ago, there was a few in there at bigger prices who you could fancy. You had Defi de Sol ready to come back. He blew out at Ascot, and he's kind of on the back foot a little bit now. Then we had Fahine coming out looking tremendous, like he'd never been away. And then we had Bouverdere doing that on Saturday. Okay, so he should have beaten those horses, but you got to be impressed with the way he did it. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I don't see much else. I can't put up a convincing case for anything other than Bouverdere and Fahine. I don't know whether they're due to meet at Christmas. Are they due to meet at Kempton?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Well,
it's heading that way. It is heading that way.
That'd be a great race.
It would. What's the latest betting on the champion hurdle, Paul?
On the champion hurdle, Bruce, we go 13 to 8 Fahine, 11 to 4 Bouverdere, and it's 10 to 1 Mellon, 16 Defi de Sol, and 20 to 1 Bar.
Can
Well,
you
that puts it
imagine?
in perspective. 10 to 1 Mellon. I wouldn't fancy that.
I mean, can you imagine if the front two, you know, God forbid, aren't able to run? I mean, I tell you, you will see in the champion hurdle then, Apple's Jade, no question about that. In fact, I think they should still think about running her in that. What do you think of the champion hurdle picture, Lewis?
Yeah, no, it looks like a match. It's crazy, even at this stage, but Bouverdere, awesome. How fast is he at his hurdles? So slick. I've not seen a horse get over a hurdle that quick from A to B. And I love Fahine, and he's a tank. He's got such an engine. But Bouverdere makes ground at every hurdle, and he's so quick. I'd be leaning more to Bouverdere of two brilliant horses.
Okay, look, I mean, I think there's issues with the quality of horses coming into the jumps funnel at times. I think a lot of these stamina-laden performers are off to Australia before they get a chance to see a hurdle, and I think that might be having something to do with it. But rather than worry too much about that, perhaps we should just focus on what could be an absolutely enthralling head-to-head between them. Who would you favour at this stage, Binners?
I would probably go for Fahine, Bruce, purely because Bouverdere could do no more than he did. But I think Frank Berry might even have said it wasn't the greatest of Grade 1 races up at Newcastle. I think he was £13 ahead of his next rival, and I'd like to see him beat something a little bit better next time. But Fahine was awfully impressive when he came back, and so I'd have to go with the favourite at this stage.
OK, well, we've got some more great racing coming up this weekend, and you could win a free £25 or €25 bet from Paddy Power. All you've got to do is tweet your answer to this question using the hashtag Postcast. Who won last year's Tingle Creek at Sandown? We'll announce the winner on Friday's show, and the free bet will be credited to your Paddy Power account.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Tom Siegel began his price-wise preview in Sunday's Racing Post by saying that quality-wise, this Fairyhouse fixture yesterday was the meeting of the season. Everywhere you look, there were incredible performances, and that includes the later handicaps, the bumpers, but obviously the Grade 1s. Gordon Elliott cleaned up. It was phenomenal. Let's start with Apple's Jade, Lewis. Really, comprehensive beating of Nichols Canyon, who Nichols Canyon normally runs well fresh, so I don't think there are any excuses there. Now, there's always been a kind of feeling that Apple's Jade improves as the season progresses. So I suppose what we've got to say is we know she's fantastic. Where does she run, though, in the big races this spring?
Well, I mean, they seem adamant that they'll stick with the mare's hurdle at Cheltenham, which I can see why they do it. She's going to be a short price favourite, and it probably didn't detract too much from Cavega when she was winning all that race. But it would be great to see her mix it at Cheltenham.
It did detract from Quavega because everyone wanted to know what she was like. This mare's race is the biggest pain in the arse in the whole of racing, as far as I'm concerned.
But she has got the option to mix it at Punchestown and Aintree against
I want to see her at
open
Cheltenham.
sex.
That's the battleground.
Well, she was awesome, wasn't she, yesterday?
She was absolutely brilliant. She's just so powerful, isn't she?
She looked that, even on the TV, she looked so big and strong and, well, she's top class. They seemed adamant afterwards, Gordon Elliott, it'll be the mare's hurdle. He said that's a race we know we can win, so we'll go there first. And then we'll have to wait till Punchestown and Aintree. probably punches down when she takes on maybe the champion hurdle horses.
Disappointing, because I just think she's fantastic. I mean, I like I said before, with this champion hurdle cutting up, I think she'd actually be a runner in that. She could definitely go in the stayers, couldn't she? What do you think, Watsy?
It's
Do you
funny,
love her?
if you'd asked me this question 6 months ago, or a year ago, I would have completely agreed with you that she should have either been going for the stayers or the champion hurdle and testing herself against the boys. But I kind of had a rethink on the whole subject now, and you know, the mares' races, love them or hate them, they're here to stay at Cheltenham. The only way they're going to build up the division is if mares like Apples, Jade, Vroom Vroom, Mag do make it exciting and do create a bit of a buzz about it.
But what? But you've got a 2.5 mile hurdle there. Why don't you just make that open to everyone? All right, everyone will say, well, it'll just rob runners from the stayers and the champion hurdle, but it's robbing a good runner like Apples Jade and Queen Vega before her from those races, and then creating a really boring race there. I just think it's all wrong.
Yeah.
You're such a national hunt sort of traditionalist, aren't you, you know?
I have completely changed tack on this. I would have agreed with you, like I said, but I just think if we're to get excited about these mares races and not just go to the bar when they're on, if we had Vroom Vroom and Let's Dance and Apples Jade all meeting head to head, it was a good finish to the race last season. It was a good finish. And then they can go to the 2.5 miler at Aintree, maybe the grade 1 there.
I don't want to have to get excited about mares races. They get an allowance in you know, mixed sex races, so I don't see why that doesn't do. Binners, what do you think of Apples Jade? If we want to back her for something at Cheltenham, what prices can we get?
Well, for the mares hurdle, Bruce, she's 5-4 favourite, and then 11-2 Limerick, it's 10 bar. I think I agree with you, Bruce. She should be going for the stayers hurdle, this one. Let's look at yesterday. She beat Nichols Canyon, last year's stayers hurdle winning. I know she was getting a £7, but she beat him comprehensively. She's a 10-1 shot for that, with Nichols Canyon at 6-1 joint favourite with, you know what I mean, Harry. But I don't know what the difference in prize money is between the mares hurdle and the stayers hurdle. I wish I could have been a little bit more productive looking that up earlier, but I'd love to see her in the stayers.
You wouldn't have thought that would really matter to the boy O'Leary, would you? I mean, you know, I think the prize money's a big thing. Having said that, you know, if you knew she was running in the mares, 5-4 is actually a price, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, go on, Nick.
No, I think Richard Forrestal said exactly the same thing in today's Racing Post, and it is, yeah, it'd be an absolute steal.
Day, will she? Yeah.
And, you know, he said he's going to take, he took a bit of advice from Martin Pipe, his old tutor. Martin said, always win the race you can.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's going to do.
Well, I don't know. OK, what else stood out at Fairyhouse? It really was an amazing card. Let's talk about Mengley Khan, who won the novice hurdle. Impressive for you, Lewis?
Yes, and it's learning to race now. It's learning to settle. It's one of those horses, the better race, the better it'll be, because it just settles off at faster pace. Probably sits top of the 2 mile novice tree at the moment. Same connection. We've got Sam Crow going for the Neptune, so you basically know where it's heading. Am I desperate to back it for the Supreme? No, there should be something. I hope there's something else lurking that's going to come out, maybe from the Mullins Yard or Henderson or someone like that. But you've got to be impressed. It took the race apart.
I'm back to square one on the Supreme with poor old Animix coming out. What's the latest on the Supreme, Paul? Have you got some prices there?
Yeah, Mengley Khan hit the front of the market after that lovely performance yesterday. Good decision not to break his maiden last season. He's 7-1 favourite, and it's 12. Say 16, a few horses on 16, but Mengley Khan on his own at the top of the market.
A right old head scratcher, Watsy, isn't it, the Supreme? Is there anything on your radar at this stage?
Not massively. I think I'd leave it a bit longer for now. I was impressed with Mengley Khan, and you know, if you fancy it 7-1 the field, it's not bad at this stage, but. Yeah, I'd give it a bit longer. The more interesting race for me was the Death Duty one, because ever since he ran at Cheltenham and didn't win there last season, I've kind of been against the horse. And yeah, you know, he started off this season as he started off last season, and he's impressing a lot of people, and you know, he's just won a Drinmore, so you can't argue with that. But you know, I just think he's one of these horses that's going to be great at home in Ireland, particularly during the winter. And I think when he gets to Cheltenham in the spring, if the JLT is indeed his target, then Finian's Oscar, and maybe would have been caught that Lewis mentioned earlier, would be far higher on my radar for the race than he would be.
Okay, I mean, that is shaping up to be a good race, though, isn't it? It really is. I mean, at this stage, would you want to be with Finians, do you think, Lewis?
I like Willoughby.
You like Willoughby?
I do, yeah. I think he can put pressure on him mid-race, and I think that might be the undoing of Finians.
And there's no substitution for winning festival form, is there?
There you go. That's the question mark around Death Due, isn't it? It's hard to erase him bombing out in the festival last year, but he was deadly proficient. He was bang on it on Sunday.
Now, I'll tell you what, if you're looking at other weekend eye catchers, which we will be in a set, I mean, I thought I saw a Grand National winner of the future. I'm not quite sure which year, but presenting Percy in that handicap chase, Davy Russell did not flicker. I mean, it was just an absolute ultimate steering job. I know he ran really poorly the time before, and no one's quite sure why, but this thing is an absolute machine, isn't he, Nick? Did you watch the race?
I did see a bit of it, yeah. This was the same presenting Percy who they thought was badly handicapped before he went to Cheltenham and hacked up there as well. No, he's a right tool, and if we're on the subject of potential Grand National horses, then Nicky Henderson might finally got one as well with Beware the Bear, who we just mentioned briefly, Eddie, but that was I don't know where he came from to win that rehearsal chase.
Well, if you listen to the Friday postcast, the lads were all over Bishop's Road. Keels would not hear of defeat, and if you looked at it as they're jumping 2 out, Bishop's Road's just going to win. All of a sudden, Beware the Bear just comes careering into the pictures, saddle slipping off the horse's arse. I mean, it was absolutely extraordinary, wasn't it?
It was amazing, and yeah, obviously staying is his strong suit, and I think he's only a young horse, but I think he'll be 8 next year, so he might be ideal for a national. And Hendo is one of the few missing pieces of his CV, isn't it? But he might have the right type with that one. Presenting
Percy versus Beware the Bear in the 2019 Grand National. It could be. Any eye catchers from you, Lewis?
Presenting Percy was ridiculous. Where did they head though now? Is he an RSA horse? Is he a 4-miler horse? He tanked, didn't he? He absolutely made a mockery of that race. I think he could be one for the 4-miler. Just hold on. Getting there after the last. And I like the bumper winner at Fairy House as well on Sunday. Downtown.
The Mags Mullins.
Yeah, Downtown Getaway.
Absolutely won by half the track, didn't it?
Yeah, and all day on the ATR on TV, they were saying, they've had words for this horse. This is meant to be a superstar. This is meant to be a superstar. This thing absolutely hosed up.
So it could be a really red hot bumper at one.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your eye on that race, but for a stayer for the future, that isn't Downtown.
What's the name again?
Downtown Getaway.
Downtown Getaway. Anything gone in your tracker, Binners, that we should know about?
Well, I think that Espoir Dallin that won the juvenile hurdle at Fairy House yesterday, Bruce. Nice to see a smaller trainer, Gavin Cromwell, doing so well with Barry Geraghty up. And I guess the main problem for him now is in the Triumph hurdle. He's got to take on JP's Apple Shakira, who was so good at Cheltenham. So JP's got an absolute abundance of riches in that race.
He absolutely does, doesn't he? Yeah, they look 2 really smart juveniles at this stage. What's the latest on the Triumph, Binners?
The Triumph hurdle, Bruce, one moment.
Thought as we were talking about it, we'd give it a little mention.
Why not? Yeah, 4-1 Apple Shakira and 15-2 Espoir Dallin. So not much in it, but then the funny thing is it's 20-1 Bar the 2.
They do look good, don't they? I mean, I know last year, obviously, the winner, Defi Tasoy, was ripping it up before Christmas. I know we always kind of think that we've got to wait till the Adonis before we know the full field, Nick, but I mean, it'll take a good one to come and beat one of those two, won't it?
Yeah, no, it will. I was there when Apple Shakira won the first day and beat a good yardstick in Gamble. Made him look very ordinary, actually. So, yeah, she set the bar, but then Espoir Dallin, whatever Apple Shakira did, he's going about his business over the pond, and he's doing very nicely as well. So it could be a tricky choice for Barry Geraghty, and in a few months down the line, which way he goes.
Absolutely. Any thoughts on those two at this stage, Lewis?
I like Apple Shakira.
Yeah, I just thought there was some star quality there, wasn't there?
You sort of left going, left. That was the name on your lips when you left after Cheltenham that day.
Okay, we look back on a really, really fascinating weekend. Let's look ahead to another one.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, the big race this weekend, of course, is the Tingle Creek at Sandown, the 2-mile chase, and we've got 2 horses in this race, Binners, who are, absolute top-notch in their division. It's going to be a fascinating contest. What's the latest from Paddy Power?
Well, we're 8-11 Duvan, Bruce. I see Willie said in your newspaper on Saturday that Duvan's going there, and probably Ern Dessau will go for the Hilly Way and Jack Adam for the John Durkham. And then we've got 9-4 Fox Norton, who was so very, very impressive at Cheltenham. 6-1 Politolog, who could be a bit of a tool as well. 8-1 Earned So. I wouldn't touch that. I don't at the moment. I don't think that's going to run. And then 16 Bar.
Lewis, as we saw with Thistlecrack, you know, when they come back, you're not always guaranteed to that they're going to be the same horse again. Let's hope Douvan can come back, though, and be good. I mean, he had, I seem to remember them saying at the time that the injury was one of those ones that as long as you gave it time, it should come back as good as ever. And, you know, it's easy to forget just how brilliant Douvan was, but would you, from a punting perspective, Paddy Power 8-11, I think there's some 10-11 elsewhere, is he a betting proposition here?
I personally don't think so. Like you said, we saw what happened with Thistlecrack. The vibes are very good, and when the vibes are good from there, they usually get it right. Ruby's made the right noises, and Willie has. So great to see him back, brilliant. But Fox Norton's only £5 off him on official ratings, has got the run under his belt, is clearly on the upgrade, and you know, Douvan makes a book for him, but I couldn't back Douvan. I hope he comes back and he's the same horse. And like you say, the vibes are good, but no way is he a betting proposition for me.
Sounds like you could back Fox Norton, though, Lewis.
I could, yeah. That's sort of staying 2 miles around there. I think will really suit him. He might prove ultimately even a bit better when he goes up in trip, but he's got the run under his belt, and he's just one of those chasers on the upgrade.
This could be a tingle creek to make the spine tingle, couldn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it'd be a real statement of intent from Woody as well if you did send Douvan over. I mean, he could have stayed at home and gone for the Hilly Way, found something for him over there. But if you did send him over, I agree with Lewis about the prices, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them flip-flop before the day because Fox Norton was so impressive and is clearly, you know, just a horse who's just getting better all the time and he's got the run under his belt. You wouldn't be surprised if there was a mini drift on Douvan before the off. But I think you just got to go back into the memory banks and yeah, he disappointed at Cheltenham, justifiably so because he had an injury, but rewind to his novice campaign and he was beating Fox Norton like he was an ordinary horse. Thrashed him in the Arkle, went to Aintree, beat him again by even further, I think. And if he's anything like that, and Woody wouldn't send him over unless he was in top form. And I think he said there's a vital piece of work to get into him this week before he commits him to Sandown. If he comes through that and he goes, then if they do flip-flop or, you know, if he goes slightly odds against, then I might be tempted to have a little crack on Douvan because, you know, you just use your memory and think back to that novice campaign. If he's back to that,
oh, yeah.
You know, he's electric.
Binners, this is still very much an anti-post race, isn't it? So with what Nick's just said about the vital piece of work, and given how competitive day of race markets are on these big races, it's probably best to keep your powder dry, isn't it, at this stage?
Yeah, I think so, Bruce. You know, the 8-11 is not too attractive to me. I know my colleagues Barry Orr and Katie Bayliss are salivating over this contest, but
I think we all are, aren't we, Binners? I mean, it should be absolutely superb.
I think we are, and it's you know, Faheen bounced back from his injury really well. This fella had a bone injury, which would be better than, you know, something like a tendon. But don't forget, Douvan was 9-2 on in the Queen Mother and couldn't do the business that day.
Well, no, there's obviously a reason for that. Look, I mean, I think if Douvan's back to his best, he will win this well. Does anyone give Politolog a chance, Lewis? Do you think he's going to be bronze medalist at best?
I think so. I think he might just come up short against two horses of that calibre, and we are talking a high calibre.
OK, one of the main races on the undercard, the Henry VIII Novices Chase. And before we came on air, Binners said he's got a horse for this one. Who is it, Paul?
Well, it's Paul Nicholls' Capitaine, Bruce. This one's 2 from 2 over fences. Admittedly, those victories only came at Newton Abbot and Market Raspberry. But the second time at Raspberry, jumped really boldly and absolutely hacked up. And he certainly looks worthy of a crack at a better graded race like this.
Loads of people call it Market Raspberry. I've never quite got that. Any thoughts on the race? What's it at this early juncture?
Well, he was the name on my list, actually. He's got good hurdles form from Sandown. He's second in the Tolworth behind Finian's Oscar. I think ran him to 4 or 5 lengths. That doesn't look too bad now. And as Paul rightly said, he's looked superb since he's been going over chasing. I think it's the plan. I don't know of who else is going for the race. North Hill Harvey maybe, but Capitaine would be top of mine.
What about you, Lewis?
Yeah, I was at Kempton last Monday when Brain Power made a winning debut over fences and couldn't have been more impressed. He's a model of a horse. David Mullins was waxing lyrical afterwards. Altior did both races last season. There's not a massive gap between them, but Nicky sort of implied then he'd be going down the same Altior route. If that was the case, I'd be very sweet on Brain Power, who is clearly very good, especially right-handed.
I'll tell you what, ever since we've got from like the middle of October, these Saturdays, there's just not a bad one among them, is there? It's just
That's
superb. The
isn't
action
it? Yeah.
just keeps on coming. And we've got even more great stuff going on Aintree on Saturday as well. We've got the Beecher Chase and we've got the Grand Sefton. They're two really difficult betting puzzles. Perhaps, Paul, you can start us off with a show of betting on the Beecher Chase from Paddy Power.
Yeah, 4-1 Black Lion, Bruce, 10-1 Go Conquer, Present Man, and it's 12s As the May Doing Fine, Gasline Boy, The Last Samurai, and the Airline Rouge.
Nick, as my memory serves me, you're a bit of a Black Lion fanboy, aren't you?
He should hose up. It's difficult when it's over the national fences. You always think, you've got to be cautious. But he's proven he jumps the fences. He jumped them fantastically in the national. I'm sure if Noel Fahili had his time again, he wouldn't have gone so far out, and he might be a national winner now. Great run, great comeback run in the Charlie Hall behind the stablemate Bristol de May, which looks even better now. He could even, if he improved a few pounds, be on the fringes of running in the Gold Cup. And he's, of course, the previous RSA winner from 2 seasons ago. He stays the trip, we know that. He stays further than that. He loves the fences. He's in form, trainer in form. There's absolutely nothing not to like. And like I said, I think he might have a class edge against some of these, and I think he'll win.
And also, because, Lewis, this is one of those races that traditionally, it is a wide open betting. It's almost like the bookies can't dare themselves to go too short. So do you think there's plenty of meat on that 4-1 bet? It just instinctively feels too short in a race that competitive. But as Nick says, the horse ticks every box twice.
Just little Bristol de May's come out and done after the Charlie Hall. Spot on what Nick said. And there's plenty of meat at 4-1. He should be the head of the market. Just throw another one in the mix. He's not in a Black Lions league, but Gasline Boy off 142, I think is handicapped to win a race soon. It was 3 out when he fell on the Malmay course last time. He'd gone. He'd got 6 lengths on the field.
He was running beautifully, wasn't he?
Yeah, Robbie Dunn he's a good jockey, Robbie. Gets him into a lovely rhythm. And he'd have won now, no doubt. But he stacked it 3 out on the same mark again. The only problem with going anti-post is he will get the Grand Sefton entry, and if it came up heavy, I'm sure Ian Williams will switch into the shorter Grand Sefton. But yeah, Gasline Boy would be my each way play in whichever race he turns up in.
Paul Binfield, would you be taking on this jolly Black Lion or lumping on?
I think it's short enough in a race of this calibre, although he'll probably go and hack up Bruce. The Airline Rouge strikes a lot of boxes for me. Last year's winner, David Pipe, horses for courses, always runs well at Aintree. He's not been far away in the last 2 Grand Nationals, 7th and 6th behind one for Arthur this year. So, he might come back and do it again.
OK, well, before Paul and I disappear to the Royal Lancaster for the annual bum fight that is the HWPA Awards, and Watsy and Lewis crack on at the Millstone. Excuse me. Let's look at the Grand Sefton. What's the latest betting from Paddy Power?
Well, 7-1 Sammy Tiggle, so it's a little bit more open than the Beecher Bruce. 8 Go Conquer and Polydam, 10 Double Shuffle 007 Present Man, and it's 12 bar, including Lewis's Gasline Boy, who he's talked up so confidently.
And who's your tip, Binners?
Well, actually, I was thinking Gasline Boy in this one. I thought, he ran really well in that Veterans Chase last month. Lewis has told your listeners all about it, but he'd slipped the field. He was going to win, and unfortunately, he took a tumble. But Gasline Boy, whichever of these 2 races he goes for, Bruce, he must have a great shout.
God, it's bad enough trying to work out whether they're going to run at Cheltenham in March, isn't it? Now we've got to make dilemmas about Aintree in December. So, Lewis, before you commit your funds, you're just going to wait and see which one Gasline Boy runs in and back him for that, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. This Ian Williams is some trainer, by the way. He's had a great season. Flat jumps, whatever, he can do it. And he'll trust him to pick the right race, he'll get it right.
So have you got a fancy in the Grand Sefton?
Yeah, I hope they send Go Conquer for it. He was mustard at Ascot last time. Brilliant jumper. If he gets in a rhythm, at the front end, he's going to be very hard to shake out of it. So it would be Go Conquer for me.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, chaps. That was excellent. Don't forget, if you enjoy listening to this, please do subscribe and rate us on iTunes. We're back on Thursday for the Weekend Football Postcast, and again on Friday, looking ahead to another fantastic weekend of racing. Do join us for those.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.